Thank you for your interest in the Prior Learning Assessment and Recognition Program at ASSET. The following is the quick guide video for completing your PLAR application. To complete your application, visit the ASSET website at asset.ab.ca and click Login. Enter the ASSET ID number provided in your confirmation email and the password you used to start your application. Once you have logged in, click your name at the top of the screen and select Update Profile. On the profile page, click on Prior Learning Assessment on the left-hand side to access your PLAR application. This is the PLAR application overview page. You will notice the PLAR portfolio guidelines, the general academic criteria, and program discipline specific academic criteria are explained in more depth in the PDFs in the top right corner of the page. All of the general academic criteria needs to be met. For the discipline specific academic criteria, a minimum of 5 learning outcomes need to be completed, but you may complete as many as are applicable. The assessors will only see the ones that are completed. Drop-downs on the overview page show what is completed, what is in progress, and what is still needing to be completed. Once you have entered into one of the criteria, it will start you at the first learning outcome indicator. Read the learning outcome indicator and begin to fill out the required sections. All 4 sections must be completed for each learning outcome. You can move between learning outcomes using the arrows at the top or bottom of the page, and they will save your progress as you go. You are not required to hit save after each learning outcome indicator is completed, as this is done automatically with the arrows, but for good measure the save button is available. The Back to Overview button will bring you back to the last page with the overview of the whole application. On the left-hand side of the page, you can also navigate through the criteria. Now we will break down each component of the learning outcomes. The first component is the candidate statement. Describe how you develop the skill and knowledge for the learning outcome indicator. This should also include the location, for example, the company that you worked at. Note, locations and dates can be used more than once in your application. The candidate statement should be quite concise and straight to the point. The supporting documents will help show further evidence for the learning outcome. The second component asks you to indicate how you demonstrated the learning outcome by checking off work, academic, training, or other. You may check off more than one box if applicable. The third component asks to state the time frame that this learning outcome was achieved. When you click on the boxes, a calendar will pop up that will allow you to choose the dates directly. You may also type the date in the format of year, month, day. The final component is the supporting documents. Upload supporting documentation that provides evidence of your skill and knowledge in relation to each learning outcome. Supporting documentation may be used more than once throughout your portfolio if the documentation applies to multiple learning outcomes. You can upload new documentation from your computer. The formats that are acceptable are PDF, Word, and Excel documents. Once you have uploaded a document into your application page, it will be saved if you want to use it again later. This can be done by clicking Select Existing and choosing from the attachments you have already uploaded. Here are some examples of supporting documents that you could use. For paid work, full or part-time, or volunteer work, you could supply job descriptions, performance evaluations, commendation letters, a validation letter, a work sample, or publication. Please note, validation letters are not letters of recommendation. In a validation letter, as on the screen, a reference with direct knowledge of your work verifies and assesses the learning you have obtained through your experience in a particular role or activity. You could use courses, seminars, workshops, conferences, or professional certification you have achieved. This you would have to supply certificates or completion letters, coursework samples or exam marks, presentations, or publications. Please note, official partial transcripts will still need to be submitted to ASSET if using for credit for any of the learning outcomes. And in other supporting documents you could use for situations where you cannot produce existing documentation, You could write a letter or essay describing how you developed your skill and knowledge in relation to a particular academic criteria, or a technical report demonstrating your skill and knowledge in relation to a particular criteria. If at any point you need a reminder for what needs to be submitted in each section, click the blue circle with the I for this information. When you have completed all the necessary documentation for each learning outcome, the page overview should show the amount of outcomes completed in each criteria section. Remember, for discipline-specific criteria there is a minimum completion of 5 learning outcomes required, but you can submit as many as are applicable. Once you have completed the learning outcomes and you are ready to submit for review, go back to the page overview and click Submit in the bottom right-hand corner. Once you have clicked Submit, it will take you to the PLAR submission overview. This will let you see that you have completed each criteria and will reassure that any criteria that are left incomplete will not be reviewed or assessed. If all components are completed and your application is ready to be submitted, the Submit button will no longer be grayed out and you will be able to submit your application by clicking on Submit. If you want to go back and edit anything in your application, click Return to Application. Once you have clicked Submit, you will be directed to the applicant declaration. Please read through the declaration and check off the boxes before finally clicking Submit Application. When you have arrived at this screen, the application is completed and will be assigned to a PLAR assessor. Once they have assessed your application, you will be notified of the results. If you are needed to correct or resubmit any information, the application will be returned to you with comments from the assessor. If you need to revise your application, the second copy will be assessed by a different assessor that will not have access to the first assessment done. If you need to go through a second time for revisions, ensure to revise your candidate statements as the comments section is viewed by staff but not the second assessor. If you have passed the PLAR application, you will receive a certificate from Asset that will equate your application to a 1-year technician education equivalent. Then you may begin your application for CTEC. Asset staff are here to help throughout the application process. Please contact us at any time if you require further assistance.